Hello friends, SentinalhMC here. Welcome back to my ChromatiCraft tutorial series. In this video we're going to take a little break from the adjacency cores while I figure out the rest of them. Rake is going to get me, I'm going to get like a higher version of the mod pack so that some extra features will work. But for right now I just wanted to get a video for you guys. And you know, it's nice to take a little bit of a break maybe from the adjacency cores. And this is a machine that I think I'll be able to use one of the cores on, well, a future core on, in order to make better, so it'll be good to go over it first. So if you remember, if you saw our Rev series a while back, we used this, the Elemental Harvester. This is a block in ChromatiCraft that enables you to, well, it auto harvests crops. A lot of mods have crop automation, and ChromatiCraft's just works with pretty much anything. Let's find it here. It's over here in pylon casting. Alright, so you just gotta go straight across in your lexicon and you'll find it right here, the Elemental Harvester. It says that harvesting crops is somewhat of a hassle. Doing it manually is extremely slow and ineffective, and those fans you used while they work are loud and tend to send items flying. Channeling nature-based energy is likely to provide a superior solution. And you're going to require Kijani, and that looks like... which one? I always forget. Zambaro, right? Yeah, it looks like Zambaro. Okay, so in order to make this, I did repair my my casting room from before when I blew half of it up. I did fix it. The way to cast this is pretty darn simple. It's not that expensive. It requires an energy core, but you get 3 of these out of this recipe. So the energy core is the only expensive thing in it. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and stick that in the center. You need a Kijani tinted crystal lens. Now, we haven't really talked about crystal lenses, but they're not that difficult to make. Crystal lenses only require glass to craft with focal powders, Nilla, and Tahara shards. And then you just have to tint it with Kijani by combining it with Kijani crystal shards, focal powder, and iron. And that gives you a Kijani crystal lens. So we need to place that in the far left. Place the hoe in the far right. Stupid meteors. And then, yep. Wait. 6 iron, so 3 across the bottom every other, 3 across the top every other, and then we fill the entire outside with 8 aura dust. And that will allow us to craft the Elemental Harvester, along with, you're going to need some Kijani and Katrino. If we go in here, we can see the exact amounts needed. 18,000 lumens, 2/3 Kijani, 1/3 Katrino. Very fast casting, and now we have 4 Elemental Harvesters because we already had one. Easy enough to demonstrate this. We're gonna go to the other place I've called my building site. Get rid of that. We have access to Kijani here. Well, I'm not actually sure if it's... yeah, it should be close enough. This should be able to get... it's got Kijani in it anyway. Not that that matters. The Elemental Harvester takes power from... that, if you remember, is the symbol... let me just grab one so the number's not in the way. That is the symbol for the relay network. Right? So, we need to get ourselves a lovely little relay source. And so I don't have to worry about power at all. We're going to grab... am I in the right section for this? No. We're going to grab one of these giant crystal storages, and we're going to stick that on our relay so that I don't have to worry about it. Look at all those beams. Right. So our relay source is fully charged with all kinds of stuff. So we just need to grab ourselves... well, to actually run, it does require... that's to craft it. To run, I think it requires 2 of them. It's going to require Zambaro and Katrino. So we'll just grab an Omni Lumen relay instead of these other ones. Although you could definitely use them. And we'll just figure out where to place this. So we'll just kind of stick it there. If you remember the Lumen relay, you have to put the input side, you have to mark the input side to the side that is facing the relay source in this case. And remember that these Omni Lumen relays only work in one direction. They only work in cardinal directions. So it's got to be complete. It's got to be lined up, is what I'm saying. So I can place one of these. It's actually backwards. I want it to face this way. Boop. So it's going to get its power from the Lumen relay. Come on, power it up. There it goes. So now it has its Kijani and its Zambaru. Cool. It doesn't have a GUI. I know some people get upset when I call it a GUI, but that's what I've always called them. So the thing about the harvester, the elemental harvester, is the way that its area of effect works. It kind of works in like a conical shape in front of it. I'm just going to build up the terrain in front of it just to make sure that we don't that height doesn't affect it or anything. We'll also take a look at that in a minute to see if it does or not. Let's go into Rotary Craft Tools, grab ourselves the bedrock hoe. There it is. Hoe this entire area. And then we'll plant some crops. Crops all over the place. There's probably a better way to do this. But who cares? Just want to demonstrate this a little bit. It's got a pretty large area of effect, that's what I'm saying. Right. So if we can speed this up, let's just grab a bunch of bone meal. When the crops are fully grown, a little blast of energy comes out from the elemental harvester, hits the crop, and the crop gets harvested. It just drops right where it was planted. Right? The harvester doesn't pick them up or anything like that. It'd be cool if it did, but there's other ways of picking the stuff up, so it's not really that big of a deal. But what we can see here is that it breaks it, and the crop is also replanted. So there we go. That's basically auto harvesting in its most simplest and easiest form. This really is a very easy block to utilize, and you get 3 per recipe, so you can use you can do a very large farm. Now, if this harvesting speed isn't necessarily fast enough for you, you could very easily attach another one of these to the same field. Right? So if we go ahead and sort of build up to here, place another elemental harvester. Let's just make sure we're facing the right way. You want to face the direction of the field when you place it. Take this Omni Lumen relay, place another one right here, and set its input side to there. Then we're powering both of them now. So now as we grow these crops up, one or the other can harvest it. So it's effectively doubled the speed of harvesting. So if your crops are growing extremely quickly, you know, you might be able to outgrow the collection speed. Now let's see, you can definitely harvest stuff directly in front of it. Question is how far to the right or left. And I think we've found the answer. Okay, it did harvest that one. And that one. Not harvesting this one though, for some reason, even though it should be able to, because it harvested that one. it feels like the range on them, if you want the best possible effectiveness, you would not want to plant the crops directly in front of it. Put it back one square, and it seems to have a wider area. Although you could probably increase the range on this using some other things from ChromatiCraft, which we'll talk about later. This is the Elemental Harvester. Now, if you want to collect all this stuff, there's a couple of different things you can do. In our Rev series, we were trying to use the little golems from Downcraft. The easiest thing to do, of course, would be to suck them up with a vacuum hopper from RotaryCraft, which is one of my favorite things to do. So put a vacuum hopper above this field. It would work very well. It would suck all this stuff up, and you wouldn't have to worry about it at all. Very neat. There's also a bunch of other stuff that does the same thing. But this is the Elemental Harvester. It's quite simple, and it'll give you a nice effect here. Now, what I wanted to do was take this top tier growth accelerator. Now, plonk it in the center here. See what we can get going on with these crops. No, not you. Plonk one there. Remember that these don't stack because there's a limit to the number of ticks that can affect a crop at any given time. We're going to have to go into debug mode so that these have enough power. I should probably just turn that off. Most people aren't going to run with it anyway. The power requirement. And what you can see here is that these are actually keeping up quite well. With all of the crazy growth. But we are outgrowing them because, well, I don't know if we're technically outgrowing them. I think we are, because they're not able to harvest. There's a lot of unharvested fully grown crops just because they're growing so quickly. And I haven't even placed these in the ideal locations in order to get maximum coverage. But this is what you can do when you have a lot of growth accelerators. Here, let's get another one of these in on the action. I think I can plonk this directly adjacent to the relay source. Yep, it's working. They're draining pretty quick. Look at that. That's awesome. I want another one. So I have like 4 of these stuck around the place. Now for this, we're going to do that. Put the input right there. And then we're going to go over to here. Put another one right there, and put the input right there. That should work. Ah, starting to lag. A little bit. It's because of all these entities sitting around. It's not because of the, it's because we're not collecting. Any sort of lag that I'm getting right now is because I have so many of these seeds and stuff sitting all over on the ground. It's not because of the blocks themselves, because I'm not managing it properly. But you can see that with growth accelerators and elemental harvesters, you can get a pretty crazy high yield. This is pretty awesome. But anyway, that's going to be it for the elemental manipulator. The elemental harvester. You'll see it again in a future video, because it's a construct, machine that you can improve by utilizing various adjacency cores that we're going to be talking about in the next episodes. So thank you guys so much for watching as my FPS continues to drop because of all the entities on the ground. Like and comment the video if you did enjoy it. It really helps me out a lot. Join the Discord if you'd like to chat with us. I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.